Hey there. Today I had a kind of interesting day. I made an interesting observation. It's an observation that I've actually made before, but it's also one of those observations that it never fails to hit home. And I was at work, and a departmental manager asked me in a meeting to perform a task for her. And I told her no. And she was like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, that's something you should be asking your one of your admin assistants to do, not me. And so check this out. Her reason for not asking her admin assistant to do it is she said this. Well, it's the work is just so repetitious and tedious. And I'm like, okay, it's busy work, it's grunt work. That's what they're there for. And she was like, yeah, well, I know, but the repetition, and she started spewing off at the mouth um, all these reasons that didn't make sense. And so I'm like, okay, if that's the way it is for your admin assistant, why is it different for me? And she froze, like this. And so I think I may have triggered some kind of what do you call it when you throw a monkey wrench in the gears. I may have triggered some kind of or threw some kind of monkey wrench in her mental gears, and it disrupted her mental programming. And she literally paused. She froze. And so, and I think I know why she froze. The reason why she froze is because her mental programming would not allow for an answer to that question. Because if she were to answer that question truthfully, her whole program would collapse. Nevertheless, all that is probably subject matter for another talk, and maybe I'll talk about that kind of phenomena in more detail. But anyway, after she froze, and then I can, in my head, imagine the mental gears trying to readjust themselves and whatnot, in a programming rebooting. And she gave me, well, she didn't give me, she made another request. Well, could you show me how to start this process and I'll do it myself? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. But what's the point of you doing it and not giving that task over to your admin assistant? It's freaking grunt work. It's grunt work. And she nodded and acknowledged and made her excuses again. And I'm like, well, suit yourself. I mean, but you paid your dues. And I tell you what, I have an assistant too. And if there's grunt work to be done, or tedious work, repetitious tedious work, as she put it, you best believe that person's going to be doing it, not me. Now, what's really weird is that in this day and age, there's a concept called lead by example. But you know what? In so many ways, it is so totally backwards, which it basically equates to doing your employees' work for them. And it's like, what are they here for in the first place then? What's the point? To me, that ain't leading by example, especially if I paid my dues. They need to pay theirs. And I don't mean to sound like a dictator or a tyrant, but it is what it is. I mean, there's a hierarchy on the scale, and there's also a such thing as segregation of duties. and you give the wrong idea by doing another person's work for them. You give them the wrong idea, they'll get uppity and they'll start to challenge and defy you. And some of these younger people are coming into the workplace anyway with that attitude, as they say, entitlement, and they challenge and defy. I don't allow for that. And most people in my midst where I work, they understand that. But, I'm familiar with her admin assistant, and I also understand another dynamic, and it's called inappropriate friendships that some managers or executives tend to foster on the job. And what that does, it strips them of certain power if they want to, if they want work done speedily and in an orderly fashion. It strips them of the power to require that their employees or assistants or whatever, it strips them of the power to require that the work be done. Because, hey, you went out drinking with me last night and you were all hugged up on me, leaning and slurring and something. I can rat you out if you're my boss. So, that's another dynamic too that I kind of recognize. But guess what? I don't care. If need be, I'll point it out. And I've done it in the past. But again, it's just another example of how backwards things are these days. I mean, things are so backwards, the way people operate, even the way they think. I mean, this person actually had the mentality that this tedious grunt work, which is what the assistant is for, which free up time for the manager to do other things to relate to the big picture of the department. She was actually convinced. Well, she had the appearance that she convinced herself that it was too much for her admin assistant to handle. But again, I don't care. I mean, at some point, we, me, you, whoever is listening, at some point, we got to make stands to flip this world right side up. I mean, I guess we got to start where we are in our own personal space, but I don't know. Because I see, not only in my personal space, but even, the world at large. You see it. You see how the world is so backwards in its logic, in its methodologies, in its way of doing and handling things. You see it. Why is the world so backwards? I'll tell you why. Because people's intellects, their minds are turned upside down. And what that means is that people really believe that their intellects are above nature. They believe that their intellects are higher and mightier than the natural laws and natural order of things. They really do. And so basically what that means is that, as it says in the Bible, old Lucifer, how does the verse go? Lucifer, I will set my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Most High. This is what people believe. They really do. A lot of them won't admit it, but come on. And just like what happened with Satan when he was cast down and out, people, their spiritual lives have been turned upside down. And they live in inverted fashion. They think irrationally, the whole 9 yards. But again, you could take a stand against inverted living, against going against nature. You can take a stand against defying God by starting right where you are. Now, I'm not telling you to go out into the world and challenge somebody, as it appeared that I challenged this person at my job. I mean, I didn't really challenge her, neither did I defy her. I just basically told her what was right. I just refused the backwardness of what she was thinking, how to get a job done. That's all I did. And I guess you can do that too, but I guess in some instances, I don't know your situation. They say we gotta pick our battles, but you know right from wrong, and you know how to maneuver and how to exercise your rightful authority, if you will, to refuse nonsense. But start where you are, and a good place to start is within your very own mind. As I said just a little while ago, our intellects have exceeded, by way of arrogance. I guess I shouldn't say exceeded, but our intellects have mistakenly believe itself to exceed, become greater and larger than the natural powers that be. Not the powers that be, not the principalities and, worldly authorities and rulers of darkness. Not that. I'm talking about the true natural powers that be. The stars of God. Speaking of the rulers of darkness, that's why our intellects are so topsy-turvy the way they are. Because our intellects have been turned upside down, that's why people are so irrational. But again, start where you are to begin living right. To begin living right side up. And a good way to do that, you can start with this book, The Power of Spiritology by Dario Thomas. It can show you why and how the intellect has been turned upside down, and then it can tell you how you can flip it back over right side up and live naturally, think naturally the way God meant it to be all along. Anyway, get the book. It's on sale at Amazon.com. The Power of Spiritology by Dario Thomas. Please subscribe. I'd like you to subscribe to the Spiritology Network on YouTube. If you know anybody that can benefit from this type of message that I'm giving and trying to share with the world, send them the link. If you check out this video, send them the link. Whoever you think might be interested. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. And God bless.